Marketing means, essentially, to a nonprofit, that nonprofit's ability to communicate about what they do and why it's important to their various audiences. And I think the three most important components of marketing for a nonprofit to think about are probably, number one, understanding their audience, their various audiences, and in fact how to prioritize them, listening to those audiences and understanding what's important to them. Two, developing their brand and or their brand story. And that means, I would say, establishing what their niche, their value proposition is, the real benefit they provide to those audiences. And then three, being consistent in delivering that message and that brand. I think it's critically important for nonprofits to hear and understand that the amount of money you have to spend on your communications materials is not as relevant as the thinking that goes behind it. If you're on strategy, if you understand your audiences, and if you're consistent with your messaging, that is what's most important. Not the amount of materials you produce, not the size of those materials you produce, not the amount of colors that you're able to print that brochure with, but your clarity of message and the strategy behind the thinking of that message. I don't think that a lot of resources are necessarily the answer to a healthy communications effort. It's the solid thinking that goes behind understanding your audiences and the message you want to send to those audiences that matters most. Being consistent with your marketing efforts is also a great way to save money. Sometimes we forget that maybe we develop a color palette for our materials that is blue and orange, and in 2 years we're tired of blue and orange. Well, guess what? Our audience isn't tired of it yet. So establishing consistency is a great way to sometimes save money for organizations, but it's in fact a far more effective way to communicate to your audience as well. One of the areas that nonprofits need to think hard about is how they understand their audiences and how they prioritize them. While certainly not all nonprofits have the same audiences, they each have a unique set of audiences, taking the time to understand who their audiences are and prioritizing them, and then understanding them both demographically and psychographically. That means what gender they primarily are, what age they primarily are, and in fact what they care about. It's a very important step and a very important first step for nonprofits to understand how they should be building their communications tools.